Shit is going down. What's up, everyone? It's the Monday crew. I love that when we do the the stinger that Brian's fucking version of it is on top. Apparently, he's just like, nah, I'm powering through this. My face cannot be stopped. You can't be. We got some great questions today too. TJ said something about a schedule, and I just went, I can't be contained by a schedule.
Well, hold on.
Definitely are going to do the schedule.
Don't listen to Brad. We got some pretty good feedback from last show. Like, listen, I understand your guys' point is to be off script and just random, like you guys are at tournaments, but have a little bit of organization. And TJ's like,
we got it. I've got questions. I got questions from the Metacrew discussion. We're doing those.
What's the Metacrew discussion? What is this you talk about?
You mean on the DOG Discord, Death or Glory Discord, we have approximately 47,000 subfactions of things that you can go into. I think one of them is Tom's favorite things to do on a Tuesday afternoon in May.
That was one of them, yeah. That's very popular still. That is an 18-plus category, just for anyone who's listening and watching. Got to be 18 years old and sign a waiver. That.
Yeah.
But I'd really
hey, guys. How's everybody doing tonight?
By the way.
We're doing great, TJ.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad everybody's doing well.
I'll cut you off and go, hey, guys, just to let everybody know, DOG, Death or Glory, 13th Legion has a lovely surprise for all the Death or Glory members.
Uh-oh.
Everyone who's in Death or Glory and on the Discord is going to be registered for a drawing to win a free Cadia Stands box set, which will ship out, sponsored by the Art Store on Central New York. So I wanted to reveal that here. It's kind of a fun little giveaway for the community. So if you're not on our Discord, get on. It just registers you. I know there's a way to pull from Discord a user's name, and that's what we're going to do.
I don't know.
Nice.
What if I register 80 names on Discord? Do I get 80 chances?
Don't do that. Within reason.
All sub accounts. Also,
our Discord automatically prunes duplicate IDs, just for people who are aware.
It's going to be super weird when Jamas Togden and Chad Brester are just posting so many new things out there.
Yeah, guys. So
I heard that guy died at ATC. Why don't we keep talking about it?
Let us begin with this weekend. What did everybody do this weekend? Brian, I know you had an event, so let's talk about that.
So I ran a RTT, 14 players registered, 14 players showed, which was fantastic for a little 1 week pre-advertised event. It was won by Chaos Knights. Second place was Sisters. Second place was Thousand Suns. It was your list, TJ. Third place was Sisters, and fourth place was Necrons. It was really good. It was really well done. Ran, like most of my events, very smoothly. Really great. We didn't include painting scores in scoring. We did painting as a separate score for overall.
Nice.
So that was kind of nice. Yeah.
Cool. Great. I mean, this is all to get everybody prepped for the event that is in 2 weeks, which is, of course,
The Boys GT, which is sold out, and I would love to get more of the people in, but there's only so much physical space in the venue.
We're talking handies at this point, right? I mean, are we progressed though?
Handies don't even get you in the door.
Oh, it's ZJ time. If you don't know what it is, then you can't afford it.
I do want to say, even though I've never been to the Du Bois, heard a lot about it. A lot of our crew goes there. It's one of the oldest GTs still around, so it's one of the oldest ones. It's got probably the best prestige to it when it comes to the old reputation. I think it's a fantastic event. I wish I could have made it this year. Unfortunately, I'm an idiot and I didn't schedule things right. Very upset about that. But
I'm not listening. I mean, oh shit. Right. Oh no, you can't make it. That's so sad. Oh no.
But I did hear John Togden's going to be there though, TJ.
All right. Fuck. God damn it.
I'm just excited I'm playing another random army.
Yeah. So got that in 2 weeks. I go every year. I've never missed it since I started going. So this is like year number 8 or something. Maybe year.
Give all the hand jobs.
That's a different thing, Tom. That's another
It has
schedule.
nothing to do with Du Bois.
Yeah, it doesn't have to do with Du Bois. I might do it at Du Bois, but it doesn't have to do with Du Bois. So, but yeah, it's great. Tables are all unique. Every round you play on a different table. Nothing's the same. So that's really cool. So yeah, we're excited for that. But Brad, Ogden, and myself, we went to a little event this weekend. Why don't you bring us on in, Mr. Ogden, and tell us about what we did this weekend?
We played the Death Glory team tournament, and first team tournament for DOG ran.
Yeah.
Bretton Weiss was a TO there. He had a little bit of a hard time because he also had to be a ringer for a team. So he got to learn the stress of running a GT while trying to play in it as a ringer, which is different.
Not easy.
Pretty stressful, but it was a great event. We sold it out. We completely filled.
Man, give some passion in this, bitches.
Yeah, it was a team so stuffed in there.
We were jam-packed. We could have had more teams. This is an event where it looked like you're like, is anyone coming? And then all of a sudden, as is most tournaments, everybody decided to show up at the last second. We had extra teams that wanted to show up, but we didn't actually have the space to pack them in there. And I would love to have even more for the next. I think we could actually double it up. We played 16 5-man teams for this one. And I'd like to see next year's be a 32er.
I mean, we were definitely, it was so packed in there that we tried to break into other rooms in the building just to put tables in there. We were like, oh, we could probably put a table in there. They were like, no. I was like, come on, we could put like 2 in there.
It was also, when I think it's hot, it's hot. I had my Harlequin's costume on with my Harlequin hat. And after game 1, I couldn't actually see my models because I was sweating too much, and I had to change. I was like, well, even my dumbass can't keep my little goofy shit going because holy crap.
I mean, we could say that's why he didn't pick up his miniatures for all 5 games, but that would be wrong.
I mean, that's just dumb.
Yeah. So
I had to go check this morning to see if I actually put the army into my car. I wasn't 100% sure.
That was the only thing I didn't do for you this weekend, I think.
It takes a village to raise a Brad.
So true. So let's talk a little bit about.
Well, we have team. Let's get off literally. Let's just go off the wall, guys. We have team questions from the wall.
Oh yeah, sure.
Hold on. I do want to say real quick, congrats to one team in particular. DOG One Thick Coat rocked it out this year.
That fucking Watarian dude,
which they didn't get to keep because they also won best theme, which they didn't get to keep because they also won best paint. And you only get to keep one prize at the event.
Those guys are just pissing on everybody with their hobby skills. They
just literally went balls to the wall and just pissed on everyone's print. Showed it up. So it's going to be cool to see what they do next year. But I do want to give quick props out to them. They came in there. They had the best team spirit, the best sportsmanship, the best theme, the best paint as a team. Because it ain't individually scored as paint. It's as a team. So they rocked it out. So good job to you guys. Their captain's Nick.
I'm a little tired of carrying you guys in Hobby Track. I mean, it's just ridiculous because it's a full team paint score. And my paint score is always so much better than everybody else on the team.
Before we get started on these questions, I just want to get a little into that. So on Friday, before I drove up, I asked Brenton, "Hey man, do I need to bring the whole setup for my paint display board, extra, my really cool models and all that nonsense?" He looks at the phone, then messages me some dark messages, which is, "Your team is graded as a whole." And I was like, "Oh, fuck it. Okay." Brad 7 armies.
Tom and Brad.
Yeah, he's got Age of Sigmar models. I was like, all right, cool. Thanks. That saved me a whole bunch of time. So
Hobby Master.
All right, well, let us get into these questions.
Right. I got a great question here. I love this question. Ready?
Brad,
it's a long one, so I'm gonna rock it out for you. So try to pay attention. I know sometimes you guys drift away. Could the assembled crew take time to explain at least the basics of attacker list and defender list construction philosophy? Our team had a wonderful experience at the Dog TT this past weekend, but a huge mistake we made was that we wrote what we felt were 5 solid all-comer lists, and we tried to pair based on faction strengths and weaknesses. As you can imagine, this went to shit. but we had no experience with how different team meta is from singles meta. We couldn't find a lot of clear explanations that helped us understand what to do going into the event. Any insight on how to attack and how to defend and in the list build would be greatly appreciated. That is my favorite question of the week, because team tournament lists and the way that you're doing things is so different than the singles mindset, because you can also have more skewed lists, because if a list doesn't have to play a certain archetype, you can make it just better at doing what it actually does. And there's also something to be said for certain lists that just threaten. I think that we did super well over the weekend because we got very favorable pairings also throughout the weekend for us. So one of the biggest things is that you have to ask what army, when you're looking at, first off, let's go defenders. Your defender has to be something where if you can pull a few things out, it doesn't have too bad matchups, because when you make defensive armies, they can't be put down, because for everybody that hasn't been to a team event, what you do is TJ puts out a defender, I put out a defender, we flip them, we reveal them, and then each of us puts out 2 attackers to attack that defender, and the defender chooses one of them. So it's super important that you have the ability to get at least a decent match or score. You don't even have to win, you just have to score points. Even if you a lot of times you're just pulling. We threw Matt and John, thank you very much, gentlemen, to the Wolves quite a few times over the weekend. They were our defensive armies, because when you're looking at your defenders, a defensive army is one that can just score points no matter what is happening. Like it just.
I like to hit on this real quick. And this is actually really important, and a lot of people don't understand it in team events. So when you're playing in a team event, you have to have 2 lists that they could be a competitive army, it could be any army you really want. Most time there's a couple like Necrons and Sisters really stand out for this. They're an army that can go into almost any matchup. You're gonna throw them to the match that's like, because you're really gonna come against a team that has like a list that's really skewed that maybe your team didn't account for or will have a hard time dealing with. You throw that list into them to basically, listen, they're gonna lose that game most likely, but you want it to be like a 5-15 loss. Maybe they can make it like an 8-12 somehow, and by a miracle,
They're MVPing it then.
Well, but what'd you say?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it's one of the things I love about the team experience is this, because you could defend and lose all 5 games and literally be the MVP of the team because you scored points every time against the bad matchups. And that's the biggest thing is that you want to get one or 2 lists that are constantly grabbing the worst thing for the rest of the team and pulling it out, so that you have 3. What you're hopefully looking for in a 5-man team tournament is 3 good matches, 1 drawish match, and one guy just is hoping for points. That wins rounds every single time.
Yep.
And that means that you have to have at least 2 lists that are dedicated just getting punched in the face.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways to go about this. Is why the team format is so interesting. So this question seems very easy on its face value. Like there must be some strategy, but there's so many things that go into it. The first thing, you could be talking about, hey, I just want a list that scores an 80 unmolested. 80 no matter what happens. You get tabled on turn 3, you scored an 80. Like we said, that's Necron Sisters. They score a ton of points very early on. They keep their units scoring points even while they're dying. So that's a very important thing. That's the first thing you can do. The second thing you can do is you can do something completely unprecedented, like take the attacker out. You could take your best list and go, I'm going to drop it down on the table. And they're just going to they're going to have to give me a 0, someone who's going to score 0 against me. I'm just going to score 20. Like we put Ogden out. Ogden has no bad matchups. They go, shit. Okay, well, we put one of our defenders down, which 9 times out of 10 is the guy who's designed to do not scoring 0 when he plays against Ogden. That list is gone. Maybe they only have one of those. Now they're fucked. It completely changes all the pairings. So there's so much psychological stuff that happens that you have to think about while you're pairing this stuff. But the important stuff to note is like, you have to understand your army intimately. You cannot just go, hey, Ogden, would you like to play guard this weekend? He goes, I'll just beat everybody with that guard. No, he needs to know that.
I will beat everyone with the guard.
100%.
I will.
Gotta get a rise out of him.
That was still one of my favorite things that was said. You like this one, Brian? We're literally doing pairings and we're talking about stuff, and I go, well, it was Matt. I can't remember if it was Matt or John. We threw them into the bus quite a bit this weekend, and I'm sitting next to TJ, and I go, well, which one of these, I think that which is better basically for the rest of the team, to take out. And of course, Tom quips in with, I don't care. I'll destroy either one of those. And I go, you don't get to talk anymore during pairings. He's like, I don't care. I'm like, we know you're going to crush everything, Tom. Yeah. The rest of us mortals need to figure out what are the better pairings for everyone else.
The rest of us mortals, I seem to recall somebody who had a perfect score weekend this weekend, Mr. Chester. So I'm just saying.
What happened?
That was you, by the way, not me. That was definitely not me.
Oh, my bad. I didn't even know. I'm so used to
you
not
definitely
getting big
did because they announced it yesterday. Like, I hope you weren't that drunk, but actually,
I wasn't drunk. I was just a little bit beat up over the weekend. Let's be honest.
Okay.
The thing is, and this is why, and I can actually give you a little insight why Brad doesn't really celebrate 520s. And team event,
it adds up to his age, and he doesn't like that.
And a team event, going 20-0 is not impressive in every game because you're going to have a lot of teams that have a person that goes 20-0 because they
supposed to.
It's a hammer list.
You're also there's a lot of pressure for that because that person. There's two things that you have to be psychologically ready for in a team event. One is, while it sounds easier, being the attacker, if you're set up, you have to actually perform. If you're looking for 20-0s, you can't come back with 13s. You know what I mean? Your team's counting on those extra points. The other thing is, man, if you're defending, you might take an entire weekend where you just don't win a game. And that's especially if your team's doing well, you're only playing top teams. And if you're just taking a dumpster match on a dumpster table every single time, dude, that takes a lot of grit, basically, to understand that, shit, I'm getting crushed every game, but you're opening up the team for wins. So it's like such a different dynamic, and I love everything about that. Also,
and that's what we was talking about in the Discord, or was it the DOG chat? It was one of the two. I forget what it was yesterday when I got home. I was like, you don't celebrate to people who go 20-0. You're going to have – so people are saying you have attacker defenders, but you also have anvil and hammer list. A list is somebody who's usually an attacker, could be used as a defender, but it's designed to get that 20 points. They're always going to give them a matchup against 20 points. The people you need to celebrate in team events, actually those that take the grenades. Like, I think DeFrank and Matt was our two MVPs.
100%. They took the worst matches.
They took the matchups. They grinded for points. Like, I know one game we put Matt Tarantine into like his absolute worst match. Like, he's playing sisters. Like, well, what do you want to play? And he's like, I'll play anything in the world but this list. And then 2 hours later, like, by the way, you're playing that list. All right. I'm gonna get every point I can for you guys. And that's what he looked. He's like, I know I'm not gonna win. It's impossible for one. I could have every perfect thing, but I'm gonna try to get every point I can because this is a team. It was like third or fourth round. I'm not gonna say exactly which round because I don't want to like call anyone out. But we're like, man, this is gonna be a tough team. Like, this is a team that could actually take us out. So we were making sure we're playing it right. And Matt's like, I'm gonna get points. And he ended up getting a couple points. He was ecstatic for it because it was like
such
the
a
worst
big deal.
matchup.
I mean,
but his match,
it's so huge.
Him taking that grenade allowed the rest of us to set up into 4 great pairings.
That's why the team.
And that's what won us around.
The team setup is my favorite because of that, though. Because you don't just mail in the end. You have to play all 5. You pay the turns out. You rock out because a couple points can make the difference. One of my favorite games of all time was a game I got absolutely wrecked. Was playing.
Which game was that we played, by the way?
This is forever. This is WTC. Oh, Tom's truck is shit again. Yeah. No, but I played a game back when we had random game length, and I took just this super terrible match because that's how it turned out. I was a defender, and this is also before you had refusals. You just took whatever somebody offered you as the defender. But I played a guy winning on 5. But I don't. I have no idea what the hell just went down. But
Don't worry about it.
Jesus Christ.
Don't worry about it.
Games Workshop just tried calling me.
Yeah. The basically was winning / tied on 5, had a ton of points on 6, and turn 7 I was getting smashed and ground out 1 point, and we won the round by 1 point. And I'll always just remember that one. But it's a big deal because that's how you do it at a team event. And in a singles event, it just drives me crazy right now because winning 100-0 is the same thing as winning 100-99. It makes absolutely no difference.
Yeah. No,
I
so
think my
That's good.
favorite.
Some of my favorite parts of
What's up?
some of my favorite parts of teams events is a lot of times I go as the Brian's going to get thrashed. I usually get the throw under the bus list, and every once in a while I'll pull out that 13-7, or I'll flip it and get a 13. It was always great because you just completely flip the script on the entire team.
Oh, and it takes so much pressure off everybody else too, because you
Yep.
got points where you didn't expect any points. That's so nice.
okay.
One of my
I like
favorite
that.
parts of this tournament. Hold on, TJ. I'll say part real quick. My favorite points of this tournament was that we're in the last round. We're playing against Team Senpai. It's a DOG team. They were smashing this weekend as well. They have some solid players on that team, so we're playing against them. And since we're the same team, we took some funny call-offs the first round. They called me out for one of their guys. Brad called out one of their guys. Well, technically called out Brad and whatever. We took some weird call-outs. So like it's gonna be a tight round because we put ourselves purposely into like a weird situation to see who the best team can come out just for fun. And Matt been taking grenades all weekend, and he still has a pretty uphill battle. And I don't think he won any games yet. So I'm playing against Josh Minnick, and Minnick's doing great, right? He's playing demons. Probably not my most ideal match. That's why they wanted to give it to me. So they're like, we can keep this close. You probably still win, but we're going to keep you close. We're not going to get 20. So we're playing this game. It's like round 3. You know it's a close game for me when we're like an hour into the game and I'm still playing. And Matt walks over and stuff next to me. He goes, hey, by the way. I'm like, what's up, buddy? He goes, doesn't matter what happens during a game. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, I 16 forward, got some 20-0s, round's already over. So just do what you want. And it made me feel so good because Matt got that moment. He got to walk over and sit next to me like, no, I 16 forward it. Like he pulled some good stuff out. It sounds like there was some bad dice for his opponent, but he just felt good because he took like a not so great pairing and won it. And I was like, hell yeah, bro. And I looked at Josh like 10-10 then. Does this match doesn't matter? Let's start packing up early. He's like, yep, sounds good to me. So
Yeah, I
it's just
mean,
cool. Awesome.
I got a question
it's
for
nice.
specifically you, Tom.
Yes.
The thing
Yeah,
is,
big
like-
question for Tom. A lot of people asked it. A lot of people
Ready?
wanted to hear from you. Let's get it in.
I played into the mirror this weekend, and I didn't feel that it was decided by coin flip. I felt it was decided by how more move, shoot, move allowed one side to play the patient hunter better. Also, the less mobile player had chosen hungry secondaries that required them to push forward to score, thus forcing them to feed things into predation. So he wants to know your thoughts on that match.
Yeah, we want to know about the Tau mirror. Tell us about your Tau mirror. Tell us why it goes the way it goes. Tell us how you overcome the odds when you play in the Tau mirror. How does it work for you? What are you looking for? What's your tactics?
Well, the funny thing is the match I enjoy the most, and Brad can attest this, every team event we go to when there's a Tau on another opposing team, I beg for that match. I love the Tau mirror match.
Yes, he
It's
does.
absolutely not a coin flip at all. People think, well, if I go first and I'm Tau, I get to use my planes on you. No, I'm just gonna go Cayenne and pull my planes and long strike off the board. You're not gonna do enough damage to kill my crisis suits. I pick up crisis. Tau mirror matches is picking the right secondaries, which depend on the board state. This would be like a half-hour conversation at least. You're looking at what Tau lists are running. Are they running an aggressive list? Are they running a switch and bait? Are they running trash? And when I say trash, I mean like trash lists. I mean like trash units that they trade with, like,
Brad loves him some trash.
they are trash, but I don't want trash, whatever. But in my opinion, they're trash. But it all depends. Are you heavy train, light train, GW train, player place? A lot of factors in there. But the reality is you want to pick secondaries that you make your opponent blink first. And if they don't blink first on turns 1 and 2, you need to position yourself to where you can do damage on turn 3. So my favorite thing to do is I love to go second that matchup. I'm gonna pull off my planes. I'm gonna get to bring him in last because I went second, and I try to position for like a turn 3 strike. Generally, when you're playing Tau and you get that turn 3 strike, if you set up right, Tau can't handle a true strike from another Tau. So it's all about the bait and switch. If you can try to force your opponent's hand first, but you really need to play for turns 3, 4, 5. I've never seen a Tau game on decent terrain end in 1, 2, 3. Everyone waits for Super Saiyan mode. If I go Kaio and you go Monka, and I know you're going to go super aggressive on me, I'm just going to deploy behind ruins and make sure you can't get shots on me. If you're also running certain terrain, if you're running the 3rd Crisis Squad, or you're running crew and depending on terrain, sometimes you can actually box out the plane's movements. So if you have like that one corner piece in the corner, you can put your units in there and you just box out all the crew and maybe one of the Crisis Squads where they can't get planes over to bomb anything. Because a lot of people think you can just bomb with the hull. You can't. It doesn't have a hull where you have to bomb with the base. So you have to fly over with the base. So they can try to get bombs on you if they go off the board. But if you can block out your train and you're going second, you automatically basically win the game. But that is a long conversation. It's 100% not a coin flip. If we had TTTS, I could get more involved. But basically make your opponent blink first and then hit them hard.
All right.
Maybe that's something that, we would have a Patreon to do a video about, or a coaching session about, maybe something.
It's almost like we have some stuff coming up.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing about that is that we do the free master class every month. I did a Tau one already. It was my first time ever doing a class. I enjoyed it a lot. So I was wondering if I'm doing a second one soon. And I kind of like that question being asked because now I will definitely include it in the next Patreon or the masterclass. So I'll actually put some scenarios up on a couple different trains. But it's 100% not a coin flip. It's my favorite match to go because it's very satisfying when you can play against other opponents' list that's designed to go 20-0 and you give it a 0. It's just great. But it's 100% how you position yourself, the secondaries you choose, and also what secondaries they choose as well plays in how you play the game. So it's a very, for an army that's usually known not to be very tactically sounded, like it's like we just move forward and shoot. That mirror match is extremely tactical. Like whoever has the better movement, the better lane of fire, the better target priority wins the game every time.
Okay. Like that. And we definitely have much more.
Let's get into some really good questions though. Like,
is it Voltan time?
Let's go with this question though. How did Brad get so handsome? Does he find walking past mirrors to be a challenge or simply a good part of his day? Well, I'd like to attack the real questions.
All right, so we got some Voltan questions in here. We're just
there is a question. There's
that.
Literally just a question after that. What list changes do they recommend with Votann and guard dropping? Namely, what S&D are critical and at what rates of fire to handle changes in the meta? Will the appearance of Votann guard affect any top armies enough to make them down in contention? Weirdly enough, I'm going to give you guys my unpopular opinion. I think Votann isn't going to change anything. I think it's going to be a very solid army, but the way it plays, I don't think is going to change the meta itself. It's going to win games, but it's a direct fire army that has some nice melee options also, and it does a shit ton of damage, but you can just play around it like you can play any other army. The army that might actually completely goof the meta is depending on... Exactly. It depends on the indirect power that guard has, because you can just invalidate the elves and the sisters and things of that nature. All the one wound armies that are low toughness just can't get volume blasted by indirect. That's a real thing that could actually change the meta. If I can hide, I don't care. But if you take away my agency to basically do something about it, and hopefully I'd love guard to be good, but I'd like the guard to be good without being oppressive. Indirect has been just shit every time we've ever had it. It just sucks. And I hope it's not that way.
Yeah, what we saw today is already indirect. And it's not even like okay indirect. It's like heavy bolter indirect. 2 damage indirect is not something I want to see. If they continue to ignore that rule for the artillery debuffs, we're going to have a problem. Like they're going to be a problem. Also they unveiled their new powers. So basically, no more auto wounding on 6s. You just get exploding dice.
Yeah,
I still don't understand how Games Workshop does not understand that exploding dice is not good, especially not good for an army concept. Eldar. Sorry,
But
something
the
in my
exploding
throat.
sixes is only on shock troops, right? It's not on the whole army.
It's all the guard. I mean, it's all the infantry, which is what you're going to be using,
No,
right?
shock troops is a special infantry that give up the heavy weapon teams for an actual special. So in my opinion, we haven't seen a slot for it, but I think it's those are more like what are those old firstborn Stern Guard or whatever? It's like the Stern Guard for guard. Obviously not as elite as Stern Guard, but the shock troops are not going to be just your standard.
Let's be honest, man. If what we see from the leaks was what actually comes out, shock troops are Stern Guard. Stern Guard would love to be shock troops.
Yeah, I mean, like they're going to be real strong.
Yeah,
like because you're not going to. The thing is, like in an old guard squad, right? Like you take your normal infantry squad, you're like, cool, I get a heavy weapon or I get a special weapon. Why would I not just take a heavy weapons team and then take fucking Stern Guard that just go, hi, I have all these crazy weapons. Like, you're just going to do that instead. Especially since Guard is one of the only armies where you're like, Force Org? I'll take a fucking brigade. I don't care.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me.
I'm
taking 3 of everything.
I'm so
Who cares?
worried about the indirect. Anything that takes away your agency in the game just sucks.
So I want to go a little bit different on Brad here. I think Voltan has a big chance of changing up the meta. There's some builds that we haven't really seen yet.
Yeah, but what are they changing though? What's changing in the meta to handle it though? That's my point. I think they're going to be great. I think Votan's going to have a huge win percentage. I'm just saying that it doesn't change anything.
I think an 18 bike list, fuck Harlequins have played, right? I think it has a potential to fuck Tau and certain builds out there. Like if it's played right and piloted
right.
Yeah, but that's
the same thing. It just doesn't change.
That's not what he's saying. What he's saying, Tom, is that you are not going to sit down and go, how do I counter Voltan? What army construction do I change? Like, yeah, it's going to beat Harlequins with its 18 bike list, but you can't change your Harlequin list to then counter them. So that's what we're trying to say. Like, he's going to have a high win, but they're not going to be like, I can alter my list to then beat Voltan. And
if you gave me a moment to explain it, but I did. My list did change particularly because of Votan. My list hasn't changed all year, basically. Like I've been a champion of 3 crisis bricks this entire time. I switched finally to a Riptide after me telling Brent, who's in chat, and he can even confirm this to you. I was against the Riptide addicts. I don't think they're worth their points for the longest time. I literally added them in for the Votan match. Like it allows me to push a Riptide up and to prevent it from just caving in my side and getting into my crisis squads, because the bikes have a hard time dealing with a Riptide, where when they get into my crisis squads, they deal with them just fine.
But it's not only them, right? Like it works well. They work well. Riptides work well. Demons, right?
Yeah.
Like they do well. You get them a 3-up invul or a 4-up invul.
I actually prefer my crisis squad for demons than my Riptide, actually. The Riptide's in there specifically for Votan and Harlequins.
There you go. But it's, again, another matchup that's not just Votan. That's what we're saying. Like, you're not going to change
the guard might make me completely change the army because of different armies I'm playing. Votan Votan has to literally shoot me. He has to see me to shoot. And other armies are already doing what they're doing. They just do it very well also.
I think Votan, post the nerfs, aren't going to change every army list to deal with them, where I think Guard have the potential, if everything goes the way that I assume it's going to go, where Indirect's going to get a little oppressive at the beginning, they're going to make you change your list. You're not going to be taking Cultists to hold your back line. You're not going to be taking, Blue Horrors to hold your back line. Yeah. You're going to be having to take bigger, tougher things to hold that. You're going to lose a lot of the trash units that both Brad and I love. And you're going to have to play differently against that. I don't think Votan, because they're such a mid-range shooting army, don't change the complete construction of my army going, I have to be able to deal with Votan. When Guard's good and oppressive with Indirect, I have to go, all right, I have to be ready for this. And there's thousands of guard players out there. There's tons of competitive guard players out there who are playing other stuff right now because guard isn't at its best level. When guard is, that stuff's going to flood back in.
And let's not trash me and my fellow guard brothers, all right?
Your guard brothers. Shut the hell up.
But yeah, so I mean, that's definitely something that I want to see. There is another question in here about Voltan. So while we're on that vein, let's talk about this one because it was one of our questions.
Sure.
So does the crew think that Voltan play does not spam their pioneers? I don't want to hobby 18 of them, which I hear is an absolute nightmare, just in time for them to be nerfed. So does everyone think that the
I think that
pioneers, which are their troops, are actually
no,
what's
the
going to
pioneers are the bikes.
Oh, sorry, the bikes. My bad.
The thing is that I don't think that army functions even remotely at its optimal without the bikes because the rest of the army is very slow.
Yeah, you're going to take bikes. I don't think you're going to take 18 bikes, but you're going to take bikes. The thing that a lot of the armies are missing
I'm taking 18 bikes.
is the Zerkers. Like, the Zerkers complete that army.
Yeah.
Without Zerkers, you have not seen Voltan.
Yep.
You don't know what they fucking look like until you see some fucking Zerkers across the table on you. Or not across the table, in your fucking back.
I actually think that 18 bikes, a shit ton of Zerkers, and 30 troops is just rock
terrifying.
solid. It's
that's
crazy.
terrifying.
I've seen 3 lists I think are super good, super strong. You could win a GT, even a super major with, and 3 different styles. One has 18 bikes, one has 12 bikes, which is 633, and then one had 9 bikes at 333. So the lowest amount of bikes I've seen in any list to look remotely competitive was the 333. I personally like the 633, but 18 bikes is super strong. But you're going to see, the answer to that question, you're going to get at least 9 bikes if you want to be competitive.
Yeah, you definitely
not to
need
mention they
bikes.
look sweet.
100%.
Yeah.
You're going to need 3 squads. It's like flamers,
You
right?
just need that
it's like
speed,
flamers.
man. And,
Yeah,
and you
just
can,
like
and
flamers.
They
they're
need the mobility.
OBSEC too. I mean, you can literally steal objectives. If somebody doesn't take all of the bikes away, you can just take objectives away from them. That's so big.
I also
it's-
love the fact
and
that
this
they
is
have the
one of the,
best upgrade in the game right now.
What,
For 10
10.9?
points, 10
Plus,
points, you get like an extra wound.
it's 1
9
wound
extra
and 9 shots. It's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
you're like,
So,
yeah, I'll
I
probably
mean,
go ahead and take that.
I mean, they're just like, if we look at armies where, there are powerful units that are just must-haves and almost the community fights on when they build their list, what number that is, just think of flamers. They're literally flamers for Voltan.
You know
Some
what I
people run
feel-
18, some people run 12, some people want 10. It's just, you're going to run them in the
Yeah,
army,
you're
and
gonna
you're probably
run-
going to take 3 squads.
You're going to take 3 squads. We
Yep.
can debate the size of the squads, but you're taking
Right.
3 squads.
Yeah.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah,
you know
'cause
what you know what I feel bad for right now because of Votan and Guard is like the Emperor's Children players. They're like, our codex is great. We're doing great. This codex is gonna win on tournaments, and then Votan and Guard just shit on them. Like you're not going in the middle anymore and gonna try to hold that.
You can't
but
run
I didn't like that style
Gotta
of
run
that anyways.
Legionnaires.
I actually think that MSU Chaos is disgusting. It's very strong.
But I'm just saying, like, you're not going to run, Legionnaires and be like, well, I'm sorry, Cultists.
Yeah, well, you're not
Or
going
even
to
a
10
cursed
cultists
cultist
versus
anymore.
10 cultists versus guard means that you don't. There's no one standing on the back objective. That's
Yeah.
just a joke. You accidentally kill them.
Yeah, so it's going to be an interesting, but again, in every edition when Guard has come out, it is meta altering every time they get a book in the edition because they're an army just like fucking Tau that they only have 2 positions, busted as fuck and really underpowered.
Yeah.
The reason that Tau is not at the top of everybody's fucking lips right now is because not enough people play them. But you're starting to see more and more people take them. I think Fucini came in 2nd place in the event over the weekend at Coventry, which is like 100 and something a man event. You've got obviously Ogden all season doing well. Kyle does
I'm a
well.
guard
Brenton
player.
does well.
Hold up, I'm a Guard player. Don't put me with those style players anymore.
Right. So
You've
another
played-
meta
you've
altering
played
busted
0
ass
games with guard. You have to at least
Play
put
on
a
the whole Guard
model.
army.
You have to put
I can't
one
take it to
model
the
on the
biggest
board before you can
It's like trying
claim
to
to
say
be a
TJ's
guard.
a Tyranid player. He's not.
Yeah.
Let me
Like
walk
I've played
let me walk in
Nids.
the room my camera right now and I'll show you 7,000
Whatever.
points.
I don't care.
All
I
I,
don't
want to
care.
say,
They don't
the
exist
OV
for us,
guard unit right here is exactly what Brandon says.
So-
Rough Riders, mount up.
In all,
Yeah.
in all seriousness, I'm not banning my Tau just yet. I love Tau. Shadow Sun's behind me, hanging out with me. But
Ever since Tom went to Halloween as a Bullgrin,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so it's going to be interesting because it is definitely going to be. They're just going to be meta altering. You're just not
Right,
going to be able to play
Ready?
lists like you do now.
Let's start flaming things. Most overrated unit in Voltan so far.
Overrated.
Grimnar.
Okay, Mr. Gretchen.
Land Fortress.
Nah, fuck the Land Fortress is so good.
It's
no, the
not.
It
other
is.
thing.
Overrated.
Sagittar.
So overrated.
The
The
Sagittarium.
Land Fortress is good, but everyone thought it was like game breaking,
You
absolutely gonna
can
wreck the
you
meta.
can literally just touch it. It's a stupid box with wheels. It can't fly or anything.
Do you agree with me on that, Brad? Did you say it's also
100%.
your
It's
favorite?
unbelievably
Thanks, brother.
overrated.
See, this is why we're friends. This is why we docked each other.
The
think
only
it's
reason.
overrated. I just think Grimnar is more overrated.
No, this is why me and Brad docked this weekend because we understand each other.
The problem is you could just move block it. You can literally send a unit up, especially at 4 deployers. You just run up and go,
It is
tink.
big.
Yeah, it's just
It is big. It is
So
this
we got-
fucking big.
We do have a question in the chat talking about chaos. They want to know, what do I think about the current reveals for guard with my chaos army? Well, I can tell you right now that if I was going to change to an army that wasn't Thousand Suns, I'm definitely not going to do that now. The only army that's going to be able to do anything against guard is going to be Thousand Suns. I need the durability of Terminators that will get a 0+ or 1+ save out in the open. The only army that's going to be able to do that is them. Secondly, rubrics are the only infantry that's going to be able to hang out on the back of the table and go, nah, we're cool back here. We're all right.
guard. I think are going to just truck some flamers too. They have a lot of 3 damage indirect weapons that are just
Yeah, it's
gonna
not.
rain
They're just going to have
down.
to start off the table. You're just going to have to start them
You're
off
gonna
the
have.
table.
I would say you're gonna have to deep strike it, man, because they take
Yeah.
one turn, and you. I mean, people look at flamers like, oh, they're invulnerable. No, man, they fail 33% of their saves. If you're
They
raining down
definitely do.
3 damage on them, they just go away.
Speaking about large units, I don't care that I just said this is bad for Land Fortress.
Mhm.
I will be running 3 of those Ragodorn tanks, by the way. Those things are amazing.
Jesus Christ.
They look sweet, they're tough as 9, and they have a huge
Anything
cannon.
that comes with the name Rogaldorn is trash, dear.
And agreed.
Yeah,
He's-
fuck that.
Brad, I will be
He
punching you
he
in
is
dick when I
the
see you
Diet
Thursday.
Coke of Primarchs.
I will be,
Now,
I will be punching you straight in the dick when I see you Thursday for dinner.
so does anyone actually read the Horus Heresy books other than me? Because
I'm a fluff
I just
bunny.
finished Echoes of Eternity. Holy shit! Fuck Rogaldorn. It's Sanguinius all fucking day. Holy fuck! Whoever hasn't read that book yet and wants to get in on some crazy ass books,
Dude.
that's probably the best Horus Heresy book
Okay,
I've
look,
read so far.
I've
and
got
I've
some
read
favorites,
all
but
of
like Sanguinius is laughably heads and shoulders above everyone else. He's literally
insane.
a rock
Insane.
star angel. You're like,
Yeah, it's
what?
insane. Like he's probably like Loyalist Primarchs, probably one of my favorites. I don't even like Loyalist Primarchs, but he's definitely there.
Yeah, he's a
Like
boss.
holy shit! In that book, he was insane.
He's
Anyway.
also, if you recall, during the defense, he took a named bloodthirster, and to psych everyone up, he took him and snapped his back over his knee and dropped him in front of all the troops to give everybody morale.
I actually have a question for us.
Mm.
Just got texted a question.
Okay.
With us discussing this weekend that team tournament could be future events for us going on in the future, because we talked about at the end of the tournament how we were talking about running more team tournaments and actual venues and doing 32, 64-man teams.
Mhm.
Would we be interested in having either a master class or an in-person class on team event mentality? How to build a team, how to pair, how to play as a team.
You guys better
Um,
clear some time out then, because old man
That's gonna be
Brad's
a long class.
gonna talk some
That's
shit.
that's a long ass class. We'll do it, but it's gonna be long.
I do want to
So
hit the.
one
I
of
want
the things
to.
that I would like to see come up, and I'm actually thinking of trying to run one in the spring, is a 3-man team event. That's I think that's something that's not done enough. Although I love the 5-man team events, I would love to see some more 3-man
I
team
like the
events.
trios too. That was I actually liked that at Nova, where we ran effectively like Adepticon style for one of the games that you ran 2 1000s and then a 2000 point game. So there's 2 games going on. It was fun. It was a good time. I wanted to, real quick, I wanted to hit the wall just because of the fact that we had one that went right into what we were talking about. Brenton goes, how do you think Harlequins are going to be affected by guard? And I think it's 100% on how devastating their indirect is, because basically any army can have unbelievably OP shit like shooting, but it's the indirect that makes the difference, because I have agency to hide. If TJ has an army that just devastates people, if they see it, they die. I'm used to that. I play a lot of elves. If you see me, I die anyways. And the thing with that is I can do something about that. I can generalmanship my movement, my hiding, how I place terrain, how I use the terrain. Indirect takes that away from me, and indirect can go to hell. But with that being said, it's there. So it'll really depend on the what an elf list looks like if there's heavy indirect.
I don't know what it does. I mean, I guess you could take Wraith Guard. You could take a lot of transports, and you could take a lot of infantry in those transports. You could do Falcons and things like that, but those get expensive very quickly.
You gotta not lose the board, so it becomes really weird, because you have to basically dig out your own place to go. So you end up, if you're playing, you might be playing gates, like Webway gates and stuff like that, a lot more if you're playing guard, because you can't just get bombed off the table, and a good guard player is just going to go move, and just go have fun deploying in your own deployment zone. So that army is it's already bad guard right now is still tough on elves, let alone optimized guard with its new book.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. Well, like we said, they are definitely 100% meta altering. So, and
I mean, we don't know though. We don't know the points cost for things. Those new fuel batteries might be not point efficient. I think it has the potential of changing up the meta quite a bit. I think in the current, if we look at if we talk about the top 5 lists, at least in my opinion, where I think Demons has a play to be in there. Demons with a mix of some chaos.
Not anymore. Guard annihilate them.
Hold on, I'm getting there. I'm talking about before guard.
Oh,
so you have the Demons with chaos. You have Harlequins up there. You have Tau. I don't know. Blooded was apparently because they won Kansas City. Oh, that's a joke, by the way. But I talk about those 3 armies right there particularly for a reason. Guard changes that matchup very, very much. Like you can do some shenanigans with altering, if you run different profiles of ignore line of sight and trying to pop off shields cleverly and split fire this here. So you take 3 different kinds, split fire here, make them take the shield drones, then come with the heavy hitters. You can pick up Christ suits that way. The 12 mans that you see in Harlequins, goodbye. You got these indirect, ignoring line of sight, blast weapons.
Well, just the mortar squads spam themselves could take care of the 12 mans, because you're getting max shots for every single one.
I mean, Demons literally go on the shelf.
If you're running a 12-man Harlequin squad and you see a Wyvern on the other side of the board,
you're getting
petrified.
That's what I'm saying right now. Guard, I've said, guard at their low, they're like power level 1000. They're barely scraping the thing. If they go Super Scion with all that stuff, they're gonna be crazy.
The thing is, Brandon, Dark Angels do care though. Yeah, you're more durable than some of these things, but these things are showing us they're not strength 4 motors, they're strength 5, strength 6. So they're still wounding you on 4s and 3s, and you still only have a 3-up save. Well, not a lot of wounds.
Yeah, plus you got that strat, right? Revenge for Cadia. I mean, Dark Angels are chaos, so +1 wound is gonna be fucking wild.
Yeah.
Calling it like it is. Sometimes you have to lose half your chapter to chaos.
So yeah, I mean, I'm just there are certain armies that if there are too many profiles in that book to say that it's not going to shift the meta, right? Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, those batteries are not good. Okay, cool. You still got your regular guard mortars. Let's say those are also trash. Then you've still got Wyrens. Let's say those are also trash. You've got fucking Basilisks. Let's say those are also trash. You still have fucking Griffins and all the other nonsense.
Missiles.
Yeah, you just have so much indirect that there's just no way that it's not going to shift the meta, even in just the fact that you're not going to be like, oh, I take 3 squads as Crude Hound and I just hang out in the backfield, right? Like that's just not going to work anymore. He gets first turn, all your Crude Hound die, and you're like, that was all my objective holding nonsense in my backfields.
Let's take a bet though. Let's take a bet right now. Let's assume we don't get a data slate before LVO, right? Based off how long it took us to get the last one.
Okay.
Let's say we're going into this meta, right into LVO.
Okay.
And let's just, in this hypothetical scenario,
Okay.
let's say that guard do keep that they do not get the indirect nerf, and that these indirect weapon platforms are half decently priced. How many guard do we see in the final 8 of LVO?
Like 6, dude.
So many, dude.
Probably 3 to 4.
I would actually say half, because you've got a lot of good players that are super willing to jump on it. Also, everybody owns some guard somewhere around here. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
yeah, it's just gonna be very interesting to see.
I own 7,000 points painted, and I like the new model so much that I literally messaged Breton, who's our sponsor, and I was like, "Yo, I want X amount of boxes ordered. First dibs, please." He's like, "Got you."
Yeah, half the guard. The thing is the guard players actually, once you start getting into a rhythm with some of these bigger armies, and TJ's played the same thing with me, when you play a lot of chaos and stuff, you just play a lot of volume of units. Once you start to get what you have to do kind of into
you don't clock yourself.
Yeah, you just kind of boom, boom, boom.
models.
I mean, I played 3 years in a row with 200 to 250
Old
plus
distance Zangor stand, baby.
Yeah, and I was just the thing.
Those would be good against guard. 3-up info and
you start to really churn out the thing. But I can see new players, Karen, that you literally, seriously, you can tell people that have played something for a really long time or not. Even good players that play new armies that are very heavy model count do start to time themselves out quite a bit.
That's actually what I'm probably gonna have to go to if guard are really good. I'm gonna need my 3+ goats. I mean,
3+ info goats that ignore.
Still too soon, guys.
And any die becomes a 6, right? Any die becomes a 6.
Any die becomes a 6.
Any die becomes a 6, and they can warp time all the 3+ info guys. So
All right. So now that we've covered your questions, I'd like to talk a little bit about hobby stuff, what we're working on. And I know the guy who's working on the most hobby stuff right now is, of course, Brad Chester. So, Brad, tell us what you're doing right now, hobby-based. What are you working on, man?
I was going to paint and get some models together, and then I didn't. So let's talk about my hobby. I told Kramer that I'd like to play Harlequins this weekend, and he FedExed me an army, and I opened it up on Saturday morning at the tournament and just assumed that everything was there, because why wouldn't it be? What could have possibly happened? I also realized about halfway deploying my army that I actually don't know what the solitaire looks like.
It was pretty good. I had to find it for him a couple of times.
So he was in witness protection for me. So
all right. So Ogden, what are you working on right now? I know you have some changing stuff. I know you were thinking about playing, this weird new army called Guard. You've still got Tau stuff, I'm sure, that needs to get painted if the meta changes. Be run some new stuff, So tell us what's going on.
I'm working very hard on getting my 2 planes finished.
Okay.
Slaving over it. By slaving over it means I gave to one of my painters at the terms like, finish it, please. And he's like, got you.
Okay.
And then I'm ordering me more Guard. And I'm going to find someone to build them and paint them. That's my extent of my hobby done.
Actually, if you want to do hobby stuff, in all seriousness, I have gotten quite a bit of craft road stuff done by Snakes. And I mean,
you don't have to be painting it. You could be building it. I'm sure you guys have stuff.
No, I'm just saying I'm slowly but surely getting some really nice stuff done. And Snakes has been really crunching it out for me. Like little by little.
Nice. All right. Well,
he goes, I'm having a good time listening while I'm painting. Well, I'm glad you can paint, bro, because not all of us have paint skills.
Yeah, right? Ogden can't even fucking read, man.
I mean,
fuck, dude.
Let's be honest, though. Let's give him props, though. His shit looks nice.
It's great, dude. All right, so Mr. Horton, what are you doing right now? Horton has, if anyone doesn't know, Horton has a ton of fucking armies. He has Nids. He's got fucking Chaos. He's got fucking. You think of an army, and he owns something from it. So what are you building currently? What are you trying to work on?
So right now, with trying to upgrade some tables for Du Bois, I just painted 7 boxes of Necron Dominions of Convergence, or whatever the hell
Okay.
it's called there,
Yeah.
to add some very interesting forests to a Necron board.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I just painted up a Fortress of Redemption. I painted up 2 Bastions and a Sky Shield landing pad last week.
Okay. Awesome.
You know, I want to give him some props on that because painting terrain's not easy. I tried painting some terrain for DOG because we had like some 3D printed tables come in, and so people looked at us like, bro, do you need better glasses? Like, what the heck with these tables?
So there's a list of things that are not rewarding to paint at all. Number one is painting terrain. Number 2, just above that one, which is just a little more satisfying, is infantry. They go completely unnoticed, like mass infantry, like Gaunt number 95. You just don't want to paint it. But like terrain is below that. You don't even want to paint terrain. It's the most thankless job ever. Nobody cares when it's on the table as long as it's fucking painted. No one's giving you crazy cool pictures.
So I want to throw this out there because I don't know how to fix it. So for most of my 40K career, the overall was the biggest award. Paint plus whatever, paint. It used to be paint, comm, sportsmanship, and battle. Now it's just basically battle and paint. Why do we not have a real circuit for that? Why isn't it taken a little more seriously? Like, we're getting a little bit better about it, but like, it's insane to me that we don't have.
What do you mean we don't have a circuit for it? DOG events. Every event we call out sportsmanship being the second highest. It's in its own category. It's not best.
We don't have a ranking. Why is there not an overall ranking right now?
So sportsmanship is tough to rank. I don't care what.
Just paint and battle. We just do that.
So on the overall, right, where you add hobby and battle together to be a thing, there needs to be a ranking for that. I think there's some players out there, TJ is in that category of players, that just love the combination of the two.
How many Supermakers he won overall this year?
Yeah,
a shit ton.
The ITC hobby track has kind of,
it doesn't even get recorded all the time, and it also
it's the problem. Part of the problem is that Best Coast doesn't have the greatest abilities. Like, you have to follow a diagram of how to report, and if you make one mistake in that diagram, it goes unreported, or everybody gets the same score, or everybody gets no score, or everybody gets 100. It's very, very strange. They're in a beta test right now on fixing all of that for the next season, so I'm assuming that's going to get better. Yeah. I would love to see any of the regional circuits do an overall, but like get together with all their TOs and go, hey, let's hammer out a painting rubric that's easy for anyone to judge. And if you need to, here's a video on how you judge painting. And here's examples of X, Y, Z.
I'm going to get on that
next
next
for
week.
GLC. So GLC resets after upcoming MCM.
Mm-hmm.
We have a rubric that's used by the majority of our TOs. We have a rubric that's publicly posted. It awards more than 20 or 50 points, which most of them give for paint scores. The one we have that's posted is designed for a 9-round tournament, and it gives you 5 rounds worth of points if you max it. But it's easy to understand. Like, it's a large chunk of your points. Let's do it, Brad. Next year. We'll get Pete involved.
I would really like to see people post in Discord and stuff like that, ideas about that, because I think it's crazy right now that, as I think that it should be something that is celebrated and should be be looking at it in the overall. Who's number one in the world right now as an overall player? We've got lots of people that are crushing with that. TJ's crushing with that. Naden, Ganyo, you know what I mean? We've got so many, like, it's so hard to have an excellent army and be a good player.
If you asked me who I thought, as a active competitive player at GG doing pretty well events, if I had to pick not the best players, but the best players that are also the best painters, to a whole nother category. There's only 2 names this season that I could say that I would put in that category, and that'd be TJ and Ganyo.
Oh,
Those
I
guys
put
are
3. I mean, Sean's definitely in there. I mean,
Sean doesn't play enough events. Doesn't play enough events this year. If Sean became an active player again, 100%.
he went to the last two,
The
Games Workshop
Orcs?
events.
No,
Yeah,
he didn't
with
go
the
to,
Orcs.
he didn't go to Chicago.
Yeah, he did. He just didn't do well.
No, he went to KC.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, QC. Sorry, not Chicago. The one before
And
that.
he went to San Diego. Yeah.
That's what it was. Yeah,
There's
he went
just a
to
couple
Yeah,
people
but-
that are just
But yeah,
amazing.
Vic's Payne is great as well, but I don't know Vic, so I can't.
Yeah, I've never seen
Vic's
Vic
across
stuff.
the pond, but
It would be nice to see, like, it's tough to say that I could convince FLG to, hop onto a consistent paint rubric to do everything. Like last year, they used for LVO, they used my Du Bois painting rubric, and I'm glad they used it. I was very happy to provide it to them, but they didn't spend 15 minutes beforehand going, "Hey, Brian, explain everything to me and walk me through it."
Right.
The rubric has some leeway. There's some judge's discretion, and some of the armies at the end of the day, we were all like, "Huh?"
Next week.
And I was like, "Oh, that should have gotten this." And they were like, "Oh, I got this." And I'm like, "But how? This, and this weren't done. And if you don't get this, and this, it doesn't go to that level." And they're like, "Oh."
Yeah.
You're like, "Oh." So that's one of the things of it needs to be a simple enough paint scoring rubric where anyone can do it. You need to have discretion built into it because my choice on painting is going to be different than Ogden's choice on painting, because that's the nature of painting, is it is very
It's subjective. Yeah. Subjective.
But if you put it into the, hey, look, the best overall, you can get, I'm going to say 100-point rubric, right? For a 5-round event, it's worth a game. You're adding, another layer to it. Great. There was a time with Du Bois where our painting rubric was 300 points, and you could only get, I think, 200 from battle points.
You also had Courtney going around with a disapproving pen.
I have the red Courtney pen right here, actually.
Yeah.
He was really quick to go, shame.
Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah.
these are cool subjects. These are subjects we want to bring more to you guys. We want to just not talk about, hey, let's talk about 40K all the time. There are other aspects to the game. Next week, I'd love to cover, more of the actual social aspects, what you guys look for, what makes a good event for you guys. But there's definitely more stuff we're going to talk about in the coming weeks.
the thing is, this show is designed to be talking about the current meta. That's why it's called the Meta Crew. But it's like me and Brad kind of like took what our tournament experience and brought TJ and Brian involved into it, turned into a show. We love going to events. We like meeting people. We like talk to people. We're the two drunk guys in the middle of the show that just everyone's like crowding around and we're just talking about random stuff. But having you guys come on and discuss and ask questions really fuels us, especially throughout the week if you can get us questions. And also, we want to call things out. Like if they tell you, hey man, call us out, absolutely. We'll call out your events. We'll give you shout outs. We don't want you to pay us anything for it. Yeah, I mean, one thing I'd like to call out, by the way, just a little self-serving right now. Motor City Mayhem, our flagship event for DOG. Tickets will be going live in a couple weeks. I believe December 1st. We put a lot of money into this upcoming year. We're increasing the terrain. Me and Pete listened to the community. We went from a $15,000 hall to a $30,000 hall that can handle the amount of people that were going. We drastically outgrew our event. We thought it was going to be there for 5 years. We drastically outgrew it in 2 years, hoping to push over 300 people this upcoming year. Brian's actually involved with us as well. I think he wants to come on the judging staff or play either way. Brian's going to bring some of his experience with
Judging.
us. Judging, there we go. We also saw Frank come back as a judge. He was a fantastic judge. We have teams coming from around the country. He's already told us they're bringing their teams. XPZ from California. Maybe Out of War comes back up from they were last year. Battle Brothers is coming this upcoming year. DOG's obviously going to be there. It's our hometown. But the cool thing is, to try to help us out and help you guys out, we're going to throw a discount. The first month tickets are available. Either the first month or the first 2 weeks, depending on how fast things sell out. Me and Pete need to discuss that before we officially announce that. But we're giving a discount that helps us get early money involved and allows those who want to support us already to get a decent discount on the ticket price. So, and we might do some swag as well, but expect to see more coming soon on MCM tickets. Last year we gave $15,000 away in prize support. That's not including the budget that Pete gave me when I was drunk and I ran around and gave people random
He was
$100 to
making it
$300
rain.
boxes. Yeah.
I have a question for next week to get ready because I'd like to see it in Discord. What can we do to get more competent judges, a judges circuit, a judges training, judges anything? If anybody could put up their thoughts, their ideas, it's one of the things I'd like to tackle in next week's show and talk about it.
Well, we
Definitely.
actually we've been going on this, and coming soon to our master class is TO/judging master classes, and I'm going to get Brian to help us out on that, and DeFrank. Both those guys are excellent judges. They have different ways they approach things, but they're both effective. If there's two people I think we should get spreading the way they do, it's them. So that is what we're going to be doing there.
Sure.
And then.
And one of the things I can always say on the judges side of things, I have judged at, I want to say every level of event at this point in time, because I've judged from the smallest event to the largest event. I've judged LVO and I've judged your 8-person RTT. Every one of them that people have come to that have been at my events, with the exception of one person over the years, everyone has said they enjoy coming to my events because I run a nice, clean, smooth event, and I'm laid back. Most people don't realize the amount of work the TO and the judges put in on the back end of things to make sure you have that positive experience. So when we hear those 20 seconds from any player, doesn't matter who you are, I get the same amount of satisfaction from Jim, who drove in from Sheboygan, who's never been at a GT before. It goes, man, this was fun. I had a good time, as compared to if Sean Naden comes up and goes, man, that was great. I had a fun time. Makes no difference to me. I like hearing that because that means that I did what I was set out to do correctly. Because TOs don't do, and judges don't do this to make money. I will admit that the companies that do this and the big events, yes, they make money. But all of us who judge for them, volunteer, help out, we get a free room, some drinks, and some food out of the deal. And normally we pay our own way there. We do it because we love the hobby, we love the game, and we want everyone else to have fun. And then we want to hang out with our friends at the same time and enjoy the entirety of the hobby while facilitating your ability to have a good time. And it's an underappreciated thing by a lot of people because TOs get shit on a whole lot when they make a mistake, but you don't hear a whole lot of times like, man, that was just smooth.
Mm-hmm.
You don't.
Yeah.
That's not a 20-page Discord chat or
Unsung
15-page
heroes.
Reddit spread.
Unsung heroes. And then, not to get off that, but just before we go off, I have a question. By the way, the Death or Glory typing in chat is Pete, everyone. He is the other owner of DOG. He's the one who helps me start this up. We got, obviously got Brad involved now, and TJ's kind of meta crew, and Brian's become part of us with the New York team. But Pete's one of the OGs with us, has a serious question for us. As a TO, I have a very serious question for the audience and yourselves. Do you think it is more important to have a cash bar in an event or relax BYOB stance? And then the person might be underneath them says, Michael Henderson, open bars would be great. First off, open bar will never happen. That would cost us an organization an arm and a leg to pay for the alcohol. Not going to happen. Tickets would go from anywhere from $100 to $150 to $500 a person.
Especially when you have Brad going. I mean, Brad's minimum $600.
So open bars. Pete is the backing guy, by the way. Pete does all the contract negotiations. He spends hours and hours doing that, finance our venues and stuff. So I'll give you credit there. But to our metal crew here, do you guys prefer to have a cash bar or do you prefer a BYOB? I will start it off real quick. I prefer a cash bar. I know it's a little bit more expensive. I don't have to keep going to a place and find alcohol and coming back. I want to be at the place, buy my alcohol there, be drunk, crawl in my corner, and pass out until the next morning.
I think cash bar is a little better because cash bar does also do the job that no one wants to do, which is telling your friend he's had too much. Hey man, I think the 6 bottle of wine for Brad Chester is too much. So when you bring your own alcohol, there is no guy that tells you that. There's no person, there's no one there who's going to tell you that, no, you've had too much, which is, I think, why a lot of these events that have, BYOB or something like Vegas where you can just go off and do something, you can literally just get destroyed. We have people who don't show up the next day. We have people who, I don't know, they spend $3,000 on bottle service. We just have these bad scenarios.
I feel very targeted by a
because of
lot of
these
these things.
So I'm just saying, like, I think that, you know, I
Next
think
thing
it's
you're
just
gonna
better-
say is don't stripper dance on the stream equipment. I mean, why do I have to be targeted so harshly here?
So Brad, here's one of the ones where I won't target you. So as someone who's ran an event with table service, an event with cash bar, an event with lax, BYOB along with cash bar, the ability for people to get destroyed doesn't change. It doesn't matter. It makes no difference, because if you have a cash bar, the guy who came to get hammered is going to get hammered. If you have relaxed, the guy who came to hammered is going to get hammered. It's up to the person to enjoy their own thing. You need to have a cash bar. You need to have it in the hall or just outside the hall.
Preferably
10
with
rooms away,
regular
a quarter mile
people
around.
rates. It can be slightly more expensive, obviously, because it's a convenience thing. But man, you can't. This is why people sneak in drinks constantly. You can't make the rates like out of control. I'm okay with paying too much for my glasses of wine. However, I'm not okay with you going, it's $1 million per glass. You're like,
The thing is, it's always awkward when you have to go get alcohol, because people are drinking, are looking to their sober friends like, yo, support me in my drunkenness, and it's kind of weird. Or then you're encouraging people to like drive drunk. Now it's different in a place like Vegas, where like the party store is like across the street because they have a store in every corner, or maybe New York. But in cities where they don't have that, it's just awkward. It's more safer to have the cash bar. Plus, you get the best stories from cash bar. I mean, I'm not gonna say anything, but there was a tournament called the Michigan GT that had 2 players that were undefeated and head and shoulders above everyone else, and they decided to walk away to a bar, and they never returned. They're like, hey, it's only an hour into the round, and we still got 2 hours. Let's go get some drinks. And they never came back, and they get disqualified, and it was a great time.
Yeah. So,
Let's
yeah,
go,
guys,
man.
I think it gives us some good content for this week. And like I said, we're going to talk about some stuff next week. Thanks, everybody, so much for joining.
One last plug.
Let's take
The
it.
Metacrew does real quick, one last plug. Metacrew does have a Patreon now, where we do coaching services and stuff, and acts like everyday access to some of the top players. Any questions to be asked. Our goal is to keep it as cheap as possible, but allows us to do fun things for the community with the money. And you can ask anyone that's involved to the Patreon so far. We got nothing but amazing feedback. What they get from us for what they pay is, head and shoulders at what I think any of our competition. So if you guys have any questions, check out our Discord and just see what we offer there, because it's a lot of fun and a lot of bang for your buck. So that's my last plug on that. And then on that, I'm good to go.
All right, guys, we have stuff coming this weekend. We're going to be doing coaching. We're going to be doing another session where we're going to be filming some stuff for you guys, some content for our Patreon, some content for DOG. And it's going to be me, Brad, and Mr. Ogden himself. We're going to be going over lists that we think are going to be prevalent for both LVO and current in the meta. We're going to be covering some placements of terrain. We're going to be doing a whole bunch of good stuff. So stay tuned for this weekend, guys. We're going to be running it all day Saturday. So,
hey, in Pittsburgh, does he have FLG terrain for doing the player placed?
yes.
yes, he does have a set.
Does. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. I've seen
Yep.
it. All
Yep.
right.
It is
Everyone,
ready to go.
Thanks for hanging out with us.